Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Esberk VA here, and welcome to part number 1 of What If Deku Met All for One. Just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. And so, we begin. You'll have to do. Is it power you desire? I'll give it to you, but you'll have to bring it to me. Bring me one for all. Hello? Hey, you look a little bit dazed. Are you nervous? A girl with bobby hair and auburn eyes stared into Izuku's tranced face, abruptly removing him from his train of thoughts. Once he registered who had spoken to him, all he could do was stutter. Midoriya was a man of few words, and he spoke even less when it came to girls, who typically ridiculed him anyway. It's all right. You'll do fine. Good luck, the girl said to him as she ran along into U.A. Midoriya slapped his cheeks, psyching himself up. This was his chance, his opportunity to become the hero he had always wanted to be like All Might. And with this power he received, he would do just that. You will use this power to bring one for all to me. The voice of the faceless man reverberated in his head. Who he was, Izuku didn't know. What he wanted, Izuku wasn't sure, but one thing was certain. Whatever it was, its name was One for All, and All Might, his idol, had it in his possession. In what was more or less a barter, the faceless man had offered Izuku the power he wished, and oddly, all he wanted from Izuku was for him to be the top student at U.A. and get this One for All from All Might, who coincidentally was a teacher at the hero school this year. Inhaling sharply, he stepped onto the grounds where fellow examinees were. Present Mike was explaining the practical tests to them. They would be tasked with dispatching robots situated all over the testing ground. The exam commenced. Midoriya glanced at Bakugo blasting off at the signal, in hunt of robots. The rest of the students all followed suit. Midoriya began running, scanning the area around himself as he passed by buildings. A green flash glittered close to his eyes from his left side. He stopped in his tracks and leapt backwards, just narrowly avoiding being bodied by a robot. It was a one-pointer, the easiest robot. He'd only gain 1 point from dispatching it, but it would help his tally later on. And also, he'd get to learn the various attack patterns of at least this robot. The robot set its beady red eyes on him, charging quickly. Midoriya was prepared. The months preceding the exams, he practiced with his new quirk relentlessly, learning the general idea of what he could do with it. Midoriya centered himself with a slight crouch, his right palm open and raised to eye level. He pulled back his fingers and sharply clawed at the space right in front of him, as if he was trying to tear something. As Midoriya's hand moved, space began to ripple and contort, birthing a vertical line with jagged edges, almost like a pole with jutting large spikes. The rip glowed a bright green. This was the quirk he acquired. Midoriya dubbed it Rift Line. He was able to make a tear in space wherever he wished. He could mentally, and with the aid of gestures, move the tear around, and the jagged points of the rift could be used offensively. It was sharp enough to cut through steel. But that wasn't all. Midoriya could make more than one rip at once. This allowed him to link immediate locations that he could see, and by linking them, he could send items or even people through them to different points. He guided the rip with a flick of his finger. The line righted itself and shot towards the robot, embedding itself in the center and destroying it. This video is sponsored by SoundPeats and their new True Free 2 wireless earbuds to provide the next level of quality and comfort. Ever gone out for a run and have to readjust your buds every 5 minutes? How about worrying about getting caught in the rain and ruining your $200 earbuds? Well, those days are behind you, with an ergonomic design created to stay on even through the most rigorous workout or function through a cascade of rain with its IPX7 water resistance. Enjoy 20 hours of battery life and seamless switching between earbuds without interruptions, and at a fraction of the price of most premium earbuds. Check out the new True Free 2 wireless earbuds in the link in the description. Also know that using the link below, you won't only get an excellent audio experience, you'll be supporting the channel so we can continue to provide the highest quality content possible. Each purchase helps, so if you're on the lookout for a new pair of buds, we've got you covered. Midoriya moved on. He had to be quick. There was only so much time, and if he wasn't quick enough, it would be really hard to find robots and accumulate points later on.
He stumbled on Bakugo, blasting away at a three-pointer. Immersed in his destruction, the boy couldn't see the two-pointer making its way up behind him. "I have to help Kacchan," Midoriya said. Quickly, he opened a rift, a second one opening right beside the robot. Izuku leapt into the portal, stepping out beside the robot. The robot was about to lash out with its tail, but Midoriya created another rift in space between the robot and his friend. The green-haired boy seemed to make a gesture with his fingers like he was trying to force something wide open, and in tune with his motion, the rift began to shake and expand from a line to an ellipse. Right behind the robot, a resulting hole opened. The tail struck through the rift, the robot hitting itself and shattering its frame. "Kacchan! Are you alright?" Midoriya asked his friend, a little light-headed himself. He wasn't quite used to using his quirk in rapid succession like that. Bakugo, who had taken down his robot and realized that Midoriya had come to his aid, scowled deeply, walking sharply and grabbing his once-upon-a-time friend by his jumpsuit. "I didn't ask for your help, idiot. Stay away from me. I'm winning this whole damn thing. You think you'll best me with that trash quirk you've been hiding? Think again. Now get out. I have better things to do." Bakugo raged, pushing Midoriya to the ground and taking off down the street. Izuku wasn't a stranger to Bakugo's hostile behavior. He also didn't have the time to think over anything that had just happened. So he quickly got to his feet, rushing off in the opposite direction to gather points for himself. "It wasn't easy, but I've taken down quite a lot, I think," Midoriya huffed, resting a bit with his hands on his knees, sweat dripping down his nose. He'd been able to take down 8 one-pointers, 5 two-pointers, and 3 three-pointers. Midoriya was taking mental notes. He estimated his points at a bit under 30. Would it be enough to pass the exam, though? He wondered to himself. He was about to go off in another direction, one where he could hear the most noise coming from. But then he saw something and felt something. A massive rumble struck across the entire arena. And looking toward its source, he could see someone was in trouble. The girl who had talked to him this morning was trapped under a massive piece of rubble, and making its way towards her was the biggest robot he'd seen all day. It was the zero-pointer they'd been told about. It carried no points and was the strongest robot. If he didn't do anything, the robot would make quick work of the defenseless girl. But he was a bit far, so he couldn't run. He'd need to use his quirk again. Quickly, he slipped through a rift, appearing beside her. "You all right? Don't worry. I'll get you out," Midoriya reassured her, trying to tug her out from under the rocks, but he couldn't, and the robot was getting closer with each second. "Doesn't look like I have a choice. I'll have to take that thing down," he said to himself, unsure. He made 2 jagged rifts and sent them to skewer the giant, but even his rifts couldn't pierce the thick metal of the robot. Midoriya searched for openings, weak spots he could exploit to bring it down. Either he didn't see any because of the urgency, or a spot like that didn't exist. What could he do? Midoriya thought hard. Then he remembered something he did by accident during one of his training sessions. He had nearly killed himself, but he was powerful enough to take this thing down. Or at least, he thought so. He clawed out a large horizontal rift line. He could feel his limit getting closer, using his quirk drained him of energy, and hurt his head. Midoriya then clawed a vertical line across the first line. What he created was an intersection of 2 tears in space, both of the rifts conflicting with one another, drawing in things from the surroundings like a black hole. Quickly, Midoriya directed it toward the robot. The hole picked up speed and started swallowing things in the surrounding area, absorbing large rocks, tearing pieces of buildings off and making them vanish. The robot found itself caught in the spatial distortion and began to crumble slowly till it was destroyed. Midoriya had taken down the robot, but now he had a black hole on the rampage that he couldn't stop till it exploded. He was beside the girl trying to rip her from the rubble. "Don't worry! Okay, He couldn't finish his sentence. The toll of his quirk hit like a bus, and Midoriya lost consciousness instantly. Now he and the girl were slowly being drawn toward the black hole in the sky. Uraraka screamed for help, trying to jerk Midoriya awake. The two began floating, about to begin their course toward the hole. In a split second, they were swiped out of the air by Ida and Bakugo, who had just luckily been able to be in the area. "Now it's my turn to save you, dumb Deku," Bakugo said. They had safely gotten Midoriya and Uraraka out of range of the hole just before it exploded. As if it was on a cue, the signal for the end of the exam was called, bringing the entire exercise to a close. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below as well. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.